Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing the faction showcase. Today it is Lothlorien, so part 1 will be the infantry and actually the cavalry. So part 2 will be the archers and the artillery. So start off with, we have our blades of the wood.
Be watchful for the enemy.
Without the armor upgrade. You can upgrade their armor twice. Once, and this is twice. Can't really tell the difference between the once and twice other than when you look at their stats, though. Overall stats: attack of 11, charge bonus of 5. They are melee infantry. Armor 3, defensive skill 11, shield value of 6. Hit point 1. 550 coins. So they cost. This is actually a militia tier, essentially, for the elves. And yet, they have better stats than some line infantry of the Kingdoms of Men, and they cost the same as line infantry of the Kingdoms of Men. Like, this is the same cost you'd be paying for Gondor infantry, but they deal more damage and have a better defensive skill. Shield value of 6 means these guys are decent at absorbing arrow fire, but they have low armor, so it's not particularly great. That armor is kind of their Achilles heel in this aspect, and the fact they have lower numbers. But to counterbalance that, they have defensive skill that's pretty high and attack that's pretty high. So these guys are good at dishing damage and keeping themselves alive in melee. You can upgrade their armor twice, so watch. First upgrade takes it to a 4, second upgrade takes it to a 5. So, and they're pretty good. All elves, they have a great stamina. That's universal amongst all of them. Their stamina is great. Very good morale. It's kind of a universal thing. So they make up for their low numbers and lack of armor in that regard. Next, we are doing the Spears of the Wood. So, the unupgraded
Keep your wits
unit.
sharp.
These guys could actually be the pushing unit, technically, for Lothlorien, as they can shield wall. Attack of 9, charge of 3, armor 3, defensive skill 11, shield 6, hit points 1. So, very actually for defensive skill, it's the same as their Blades of the Wood, except you can only upgrade these spears once. So, their upgrade version looks a little like this. Their armor just goes to 4. Costs 600 to bring though. And you can't bring as many as Blades of the Wood. I think you can bring 3 Blades of the Wood before they increase, and only 2 for Spears of the Wood. Bonus fighting cavalry, so pretty good. For a militia tier spearmen, these are very, very good spearmen. Same for their infantry. Very, very good for militia tier units, but you pay a lot more for them than what you would be accustomed to. But they do run the same as, like, their stats are almost the same as line infantry. Overall, except for their armor is still like militia tier armor for Kingdoms of Men. Just elves, not particularly known for most of their units having armor, especially more woodland-like elves like these ones. Next, we have
We will help you fight this war.
the Salem Staff Masters. So, very interesting. These guys are like rangers. They can hide anywhere with their infantry. They are actually armor piercing, but they do not have very good attack or charge bonuses. So for dealing damage, they're not great. I mean, it is armor piercing damage, but it's not a lot of damage at all. But they are very, very good at keeping themselves alive once they have a defensive skill of 30. One of the highest defensive skills I've ever seen. Very good at keeping themselves alive. Armor of 2, not great, no shield value, which means they're getting shot at. They are not going to last a long time, but if you mix them in with infantry here, you're looking at something they could hold for a pretty long time. Like, these guys just, they're elves, so their morale, like, doesn't, like, their morale is, like, fantastic. Like, they probably won't break till there's, like, 3 guys left in the game. Even then, that's questionable. You can upgrade their armor once. So it goes from being a 2 to a 3 for their arm. Still not great. They'll still drop pretty fast to arrow fire, so even with that, just mix them in. That just makes them all the more tanky in melee once they're in. This is probably going to go by pretty quickly just because there's not a lot of stuff going on with the elves. Like, there's just a handful of units, their upgrades, and what they do. So, oh yeah, they can also do this unit. Staff Masters can also do shelf transformation, so another specialty. For all you that forgot, looks a little like this. Kind of interesting.
At ease.
But moving on to shock infantry.
Ready, elves?
We have the Lothlorien Warriors. Lothlorien Warriors, defensive skill of 12, armor of 9, no shield value, so they don't last long getting shot at. I mean, but their armor is the same as fully upgraded Axemen of Lothlorien, if you remember that from the Gondor infantry. Their defensive skill, although I think is higher. Charge bonus of 15 and attack of 16. Their attack is actually better than the Axemen of Lothlorien. Charge bonus is the same though, very damaging on the charge. So you get these guys to charge into the flank or the rear of a unit, they'll destroy that unit. Pretty good. Effective against armor, so of course they are armor piercing. But they are not a cheap unit to bring. I think you can only bring one before that cost will increase, maybe two. I don't use Lothlorien all that often, but they are a good faction. But that AP is pretty handy to have, especially with that level of skill. Next, for shock infantry, again,
Our homes must be defended.
we have the Galadrim Blade Masters. They are also like a ranger unit, they're staff masters, where they can hide anywhere. These guys also have the ability to frighten nearby enemy infantry. I don't think they even have to be in the fight to have that ability activated. They just have to be near your front line for that ability to be active. But, I mean, if they are in melee, definitely that ability is going to happen. It scares the enemy infantry, so it's kind of like having a morale shock when these guys go in. Stay in combat. It's just constantly affecting the morale of the opposing unit. Armor 2, so they're not very well armored, they're the same as the Staff Masters, but a very high defensive skill. Very good at keeping themselves alive once they're in melee. High damage output and a high charge. You can also upgrade their armor.
Our homes must be defended.
This is them with the armor upgrade. It only goes up to a 3, so that just makes them a little bit more durable once they're in melee, but still ranged fire will bring these guys down pretty quickly. Again, with most shock infantry, you want to mix it in with your line infantry for it to be more efficient. You don't really want these guys alone and isolated, because they'd be more susceptible to getting shot. Like, if I saw these guys fighting on a flank by themselves, I'd definitely focus my archers into it, because my archers would get better value shooting into this than they would into Blades of the Wood, because these guys have the same armor, actually less armor, upgraded, have less armor than the upgraded Blades of the Wood. Actually, they got the upgraded, they have the same amount of armor as just regular Blades of the Wood, so these guys, they'll die pretty quickly to archer fire compared to other units. So make sure that they're supported when you bring them. But when you bring them, these guys are what really do the work. Like they will do a number. Like you could throw like probably 3 units more in an infantry on them and they will probably kill all 3. Just because of how skilled they are. But overall, not saying if you like surrounded them with infantry. But who knows? You have to test that. But these guys are significantly better. Really, this with their morale and the frighten ability, they'll cut through almost anything. for kind of more standard line infantry game with Lothlorien.
We elves will help fight against Sauron.
Lothlorien Spearmen. So, again, can't armor upgrade these guys, same as the Lothlorien Warriors. Can't have an armor upgrade, but the armor's still pretty good. Armor of 9, defense is still at 12, shield at 8. Attack of 9, charge bonus 3. So these guys are very, very tough. Bonus fighting cavalry with the shield will also, again, this unit can also be used to push through enemy lines. They're very good at taking archer fire. Put them in loose formation, and you might lose like one, maybe two of them. By the time like a unit of like orc archers empties their entire ammo supply into you, you might lose like between 2 to 5 at most. Out of a unit of 103, I'd say that's pretty good. And you just got an entire unit that's gonna die in melee against these guys, because obviously now javelins are a different story. Armor piercing and cost base. But if regular archers are just firing into this, they're not armor piercing archers or anything like that. They'll do a pretty good job of absorbing that and shrugging off that ammo. Not how you'd want to lose them, of course, but if that's the choice, I mean, so be it. They got good armor and they got good shield. And they're not bad in melee either. Not cheap, cost 800.
Be watchful for the enemy.
Next we have Lothlorien Axemen. So Lothlorien Axemen, they're pretty good infantry for a line infantry. They got, since they are an axe wielding unit rather than a sword, they have a higher attack of 14 and charge of 5. For the defense, same as the spears. They got a defensive skill of 12, armor of 9, shield value of 8. So still good at taking arrow fire. So once they're in a fight and enemy archers are firing back into them, they'll actually do a lot better than Blades of the Wood, because they got a higher shield value and way more armor. Can't upgrade their armor though, so let's just see what you got with these guys. But their high damage output and the fact that they got the same skill as almost all the other units should offset that. Next we have
your weapons ready, elves.
the Lothlorien Swordmasters. So, just like the Axemen, these guys are very, very tough in melee, very strong, higher defensive skill though, same armor, but, oh, interesting. I don't see a shield on these guys. I guess they have a shield value. Interesting. These guys actually have a shield value. I did not know that. You'd figure they wouldn't. You don't even see a shield on their models, but they do have a shield value. Nonetheless, these guys technically could be more like a shock infantry than anything else, but I don't know. Frighten nearby enemy infantry, same as the Swordmasters. Very high charge of 15 and attack of 16. Defensive skill of 16, so these guys are very good at dishing out the punishment and just holding that line. They can do it for quite a while. It should be decent at still, when archers are firing in, should be decent at taking that to an extent, as long as it's regular archer fire. But again, maybe not how you'd want to lose these guys. You'd probably want someone with a better shield value and armor taking that hit, like the Lothlorien Spearmen, or maybe a lower end unit that you wouldn't need too badly, which would be the Spears of the Wood, or even lower, which would be Blades of the Wood, your militia. But still, very handy unit to have. Again, you can't armor upgrade. You cannot get armor upgrades, but they do cost a little bit less than the.
Ready, elves. Don't draw attention. Don't draw attention. Elves, over here.
I'm gonna fix that real quick, but elves, they do cost less, I believe. And they do. With the spears. Yeah, these guys actually cost less than the spears and the axemen. So, about 50 florins. 50 florins less, so not a hell of a lot, but still pretty good. And moving on to the last infantry unit, which is actually a general bodyguard tier unit, but it is also Lothlorien's only phalanx.
We must protect the woods!
Terrace Galadhon Guardians. These are among some of the best pikes in the game. As you can tell, phalanx actually experts at hiding in the woods, so maybe they would hide in like the trees and stuff pretty well. Attack of 17, charge bonus to 7, so they do get a pretty high skill buff. Defensive skill of 9, armor of 10, no shield value, but 2 hit points. So, over range fire, they will eventually start to drop, but that 2 hit points kind of makes it take a little bit longer. But you want a pike unit, it's gonna hold a choke point for a while once it's mixed in with infantry. These guys all the way. They are one of the, I think they are the only multiple HP pike unit in the game, actually. The only other faction that I can think of that might have a multiple HP pike unit is maybe the First Legion, maybe. But I know the First Legion's armor piercing, but I don't think they have 2 weapons. So that makes the Lothlorien's Galadhon's Guardians unique, as they would be the only pike unit to have it. Other than that, though, you can't upgrade their armor. You can give them weapon upgrades, so it would be an attack of 18. So, very, very damaging pike unit. Overall, these guys are pretty solid. But they are, I think they are small, one of the smaller pike units too. I think they are the smallest, actually. And they are not cheap. 1,400 points for one. That's because they're a bodyguard too, and they're the only pike. They're the only pikes. They're the only phalanx formation that Lothlorien gets. So the last one we have is cavalry. Because Lothlorien is such a small faction, I might as well throw this in. And I'll just do all the ranged units. Well, all the ranged units tomorrow. So, or later tonight, whichever I get a chance to do. So, from Lothlorien, we have some Lornan Mounted Company. So, armor piercing, they are a Lancer Cav. So they're pretty charge bonus of 15, so very devastating on charge. Attack of 6. So in sustained melee, they're still pretty good. Defensive skill of 10. Yeah, they're pretty good. If you're thinking, oh, there's archers that are going to be shooting into my cabin, I don't want to get them close, these guys are actually well armored and have a good shield value of 8. So actually, they're not very cheap. Like 1,000 florins for a cavalry unit, and this is like their militia tier cav. Because they only get 2 units of cavalry, and this is one lancer, the other being an archer cav, which we'll cover here in a second. But very tough cavalry. Very tough, and they can do a wedge formation.
Wedge!
Which, I'll make a video one day going over the different formations and what they're effective for. But overall, very good cavalry unit, especially if you're going to do if you're in a siege and you wanted to do a sally out. These guys can do some work on the enemy. Next,
ready your mounts.
Also, for these guys, you can't upgrade their armor. Neither can you upgrade the armor on these guys. The Riders of the Golden Wood. So there's an archer unit. Oh, like Archers of the Golden Wood. Something like that. We'll see in a later video, but these guys can do their formation where they basically circle and fire arrows. Very, very damaging archer. Melee attack of 17, missile attack of 8. Armor of 9, defensive skill 17, no shield, multiple hit points though, so they are kind of tanky with multiple hit points, and once they're in melee, ranged fire is more the way that you bring these guys down and eventually wear them out is ranged fire. Is with ranged fire versus these guys would be better at absorbing it than these guys, because that's going to directly reflect off their armor and hit points, whereas this one's going to go through their shield value and armor. Don't get me wrong. Tough units, but how you use them will differ greatly, obviously, because one's a Lancer Cav, this one's an Archer-based Cav. More like a Ranger-based Cav, if anything. Charge bonus and things, so not a very good charge bonus once they're in melee. I would use these guys to, like, more or less, like, zone out enemy cavalry, keep them at bay. Because they, like, even in the missile attack, I think these guys might be the split shots. Not sure. I know Lothlorien gets two special types of archers. One's like a split shot. I'd have to see him in action again though. But one's like split shot, stuff like that. Triple shot arrows. Very, very damaging archers though, and this is one of the special units of archers. So, if you want something to zone out enemy cavalry, especially in a field battle, or again a sally out in a siege, these two units combined, I mean, that'd be 2,200 florins that you'd spend on cavalry. These guys can do a number, like, very, very easily. But with that, that would wrap up part 1 of this Lothlorien Showcase, and I hope you all join me for part 2.